Okay, welcome all. This is
Oh,
the Adderstone Games podcast. I am Darren. This is
I
co-writer
am
Kurt,
Kurt.
and this is Zulfia in the
That's
chat.
right. What's up, Zilphia? Also, if you're not Zilphia in your chat, feel free to say hi. That's okay too. But Zilphia, how are you doing today? I also got the sweet. I'm wearing my. It's cold now. Finally in Japan, and I'm wearing my old Disney old Disney sweater that Chrissy illustrated for us when we went to Disneyland.
It's badass. I was going to
So,
wear my Chrissy Diggs sweater today, but I realized I wore that last stream, and I shouldn't wear it.
Can't let people know you have just one
Yeah.
favorite sweater.
Yeah. Also, okay, we could actually start this off with a story that's completely relevant. Officer Zulfis is doing pretty good. 1 year older, but don't feel it. Oh!
Birthday!
Omedeto Penbloith Hapits, as we say in Welsh.
Yeah. Happy 21st birthday again. That's what I tell everyone.
Yeah.
Whose age I don't know, and like happy 21st birthday.
Yeah.
That's it. That's important.
That's all we need to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? So, something exciting happened. There's a cool magazine in the UK called Imagine FX, and they are a magazine for digital artists. And they make cool stuff. And they reached out to interview me because of our Enya nomination for our artwork. And because they are based in Bath and we're based in Cardiff, and Bath is literally just across the river, basically. It is pretty far. It's across the Severn River, which is a big river. But they were like, "Oh, you're local, cool. Let's have a chat, do an interview." And I was like, "Yeah, that's great, cool. Let's do it." And where am I going with this? What was relevant? What were we talking about before this? There's a relevance here.
Well, there were birthdays. We were talking about birthdays.
Yeah.
And we were talking
no, that's about Chrissy Diggs sweater. That's right. Okay. So that's right. Okay. So yeah, we did this interview, text-based interview, and two things came of it that were interesting. One was that obviously it's fun and interesting, and they agreed to send me a copy of the magazine so I can show that on stream when it gets released. That'll be fun. That's great. But then after the interview happened, like literally yesterday, the interviewer, the journalist, emailed me and said, "Hey, something's happened. I don't know if you still want to go ahead with the interview. I have to tell you something." And I was like, what could have possibly happened? And it turns out the parent company, which is called Future, has started a partnership with OpenAI. The creators of ChatGPT. And the poor journalist, I don't know, I mean, maybe I shouldn't report these details, but she basically said, look, we don't know exactly how our magazine is going to be integrated with ChatGPT. We don't know if they'll be like taking all the data or anything. She didn't say this stuff. This is me interpreting. Okay, so for the record, she didn't tell me this. This is me interpreting.
Also, she's not a whistleblower.
Yeah, she's not a whistleblower. She was doing her due diligence. She was doing fantastic. This is all public information about the acquisition. It's got announced. In fact, I think Rascal, which is the big indie RPG news agency, they reported on it recently. But basically their point was, look, hey, we don't know how we're going to be integrated. The announcement just said that our material is going to be referenced by ChatGPT, but still, maybe you don't want to be part of this now. And she did suggest, though, if you're going to give us artwork, you can glaze it. Kurt, do you know what glazing is in the context of artwork and AI?
I sure do know. I also know glazing means something else now when the young kids say it, but I also know what glazing means in the context of AI.
Yeah. For also glazing donuts, and then for AI.
Dig says, I am a whistleblower, and Diggs, I hope not, because I want you to stay alive when talking to OpenAI. You know what they do with the whistleblowers. I'm not going to say on stream.
No, Diggs just meant she's musical. She's a musical whistleblower.
Yeah, that's true. She plays the flute.
Oh no.
Yeah, so glazing, if you don't know, is when you treat the image so that if it gets fed into a large language model, it messes with the data and it can't as effectively be used or copied.
Yeah, and
that's my understanding.
Yeah, so she said she told me you can glaze the artwork if you want to. And I said to Jasmine, my partner, I was like, what the hell is glazing? She was like, oh, it's art to stop it from AI. She knew exactly what it was. I don't know how you people know what this is. But then I looked into it, and it turns out it's not like a thing. It's not like a process done in general. It is a process that's been invented by a specific group at the University of Chicago. And if you wish to glaze your artwork, you have to go to their website and download their software. It's not an easy to do thing, actually. It was simple. So what you have to do is you go to their website and you download their software, which is 4 gigabytes in size. It's not small. Then you have to load it on your computer. Very simple. Just double click. So if any other artists want to do this is how you do it. And then you select the artwork you want to be glazed. Then you choose how much you want it to be glazed. And then it requires you to have like a half decent video card for your computer, because essentially it's running machine learning software, which, as we all know from the great like Bitcoin mining escapades of the past few years, like spikes the prices of video cards, because that's what it requires. So it's the same kind of process. So it requires 5 gigabytes of like memory on your computer and RAM and things like that. And so I couldn't actually run it while I had my window browsers open, because I had like 100 browsers and it occupies loads of memory on the computer. So I had to quit loads of like programs to be able to run this thing.
Yep.
And then it takes like 7.5 minutes to glaze like one image. And this was low resolution images. We're talking like, it was like 1 megabyte, maybe 700 kilobytes. So I can't imagine how long it would take for like a full quality 20 megabyte image. So you want to downsize stuff before you do this. Then the outcome was that for some of the artwork, it wasn't. I mean, I could show you. I suppose I could show you.
Dig says it's not very user friendly and needs to be server based, and that's kind of the thing, right? Like when you're talking about processing AI for training language models, or your own, like, what do you call it, sensors, or your own, what do you call it? I forget what the files are called for when you're training your own data sets.
Yeah.
A lot of that processing does happen on their servers that you pay tokens for, often. But for this, like, can you pay money to have it go faster, or
no? They want to make it free and open for everyone. So in that way, they do have a server way of doing it, but there's currently invite only, I believe.
I see. Okay, so they have university servers or whatever, but they can't like have everyone use it. Okay.
I did see somewhere that they're partnered with Kara now, which is like an image sharing kind of like social media for artists, and they're looking to make it a server thing for Kara uploads, but I couldn't see where in my Kara account that would be. Anyway, so here's a picture of our cover art, which they were particularly enamored with. I say they, I mean the magazine, and they really wanted this artwork, and they said, hey, if you want to glaze it, you can. But then when you glaze it, you get these weird artifacts, which, funny enough, when you zoom in, you can't really see them. But when you kind of zoom out, you can kind of see the wrinkly pattern to it. Can you see that?
Sure.
Like the wrinkles on it?
I think so.
And it's most notable when you look at the purple on the edge, because that's supposed to be a flat color, right? You kind of see this like hex wiggly pattern in the artwork here as well. Right. But that's what it does. So, and it's sad because, you know, this was art, and that glazing has now, I wouldn't say ruined it, but it's definitely made it worse. Right? It's made it worse. And it's like,
and what do you like? You can't just put a big graph that says, by the way, this isn't the real art. This is glazed. So, right? I see. Like, it's like artistic stretch marks.
Yeah. That's what it is. Artistic stretch marks. Yeah.
And Dig says that you think the AI is going to burn the world down, and because there's so much processing power. And that's the most frustrating thing, right? It's the fact that, like, we're using this energy for something that shouldn't even be a problem in the first place. Like, people shouldn't be worried about computers ripping their shit off, but here we are. And now you have to use computers to stop from getting ripped off, but that's also bad.
And it's not just that either. It took me time. It took my time. It took me an hour or two to like download the software, figure out where to get it from, install it, figure out how to use it, run it, realize that I run it on too high settings, and then rerun it again, and then send it back to her. And it's like, it's just all unnecessary faff, and it makes it worse. Look, this actually really quite clear here on these pillars. But yeah.
You know what though?
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You're not the artist. You're the person who, you know, commissioned the art, and but you care about making sure that your shit doesn't get stolen, and the art of the people, you know, and doesn't get stolen. That's, you know, I applaud that.
So anyway, that's the first part of this story. It's probably the most interesting part and relevant to chat. But the reason why I was reminded of it and why it was relevant to what we were just talking about, which is what we're wearing, is because then she emailed me this morning, actually. She emailed me very early, late at night rather, and I didn't get the email till this morning, and said, oh, hey, we actually need a headshot of you as well. And I was like, oh crap, I need a headshot. I don't have like a headshot lying around. If I do, it's very, very old. Since then I've got glasses and like my face shape has changed and things like that. So I thought I should get something relevant. So I was scrolling through my phone trying to find like a half decent picture of my face where I'm not like next to Jasmine or next to a relative and it's just my whole head in picture. And I was scrolling. And then I was marveling as I was scrolling how often I choose to wear Chrissy Diggs' sweater when I see my friends and stuff because it's really cool, right? And so inevitably it came to the point where like the third meeting with friends wearing a sweater, I do finally find a picture of me, and it was indeed me wearing that sweater. Although you won't see the sweater in the thing, it's just a headshot, but still. And that's what made me think of that. Yeah.
This wasn't premeditated. We didn't talk about this before the stream, but
Please plug Chrissy Diggs' shop.
Yeah. And funny thing is, you say that, and I just posted a link, and she has a thing of sweater weather, and so it's a bundle of all the jumpers and sweaters and stuff that she's made. So, cool. I am a big fan of obviously I'm a big fan of Chrissy's art and the stuff.
And for people that don't know what we're doing, Chrissy is obviously an artist that works on our project, right? She works on our book, which is awesome too. Yeah.
She's a wonderful human being.
Yeah, let me check out some of her artwork while I'm here. Might as well, right? Let's go on chrissydiggs.com. And you can see how cool she is. Yeah.
Well, I put a link to the shop.
Now I'm just looking at the shop on stream because why not?
Oh, there you go.
Do you have cups now? That's cool.
Yeah, you can buy one of those. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Anyway, so shall we move on to our update for the week? New sweater for me. You say that, but I really like this sweater. It's this one here actually. It's this one right here. I really like that design. So if you try and design one for me, like I might like it, but I will be afraid that I won't like it as much as this one, But I'm obviously keen to see new sweaters. Yeah.
Just do a full extended art version of that, where it's a whole scene wrapped around the whole body.
Sure, down. But yeah, I kind of want to make some Avallen merch as well at some point. But yeah, we'll figure that out.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Okay, anyway, so what have we been up to? It's a new week, new stuff. What's happened since the last stream? Shall I go first? No, I've been talking for ages, I feel like. But your thing is much longer, right?
Let me do the recap.
Yes, please. Save me from myself.
It's your stream. It's all good. So we gave ourselves homework, right? My homework was to finish one of the sections of the Faerie Courts, have a draft ready to go within that time frame. Yours, I think, was an art brief homework, right?
Yep, and right? I wanted to do the rules for the section that you were completing as well.
Oh yeah, the rules for the same section. And guess what? We did our homework, and it's done.
Yeah, we did those things.
The draft is done. We did the things that we were going to say. It said we were going to do.
Yeah.
Isn't that rare for people that get money from Kickstarter? God, you guys...
No, I don't think it's rare, but it doesn't happen. What am I trying to say? There are too many occasions where it doesn't happen. Yeah.
Just like, what do you get?
Yeah, so we finished what we wanted to do since last week. Because your thing's more exciting, let's go through what I was else I've been doing as well. So I did so I did rules, but I've also been doing art briefs. Now we did do a stream on art briefs, so if you want to know how we do art briefs, you can find that stream on our YouTube channel and watch it more completely. But as a brief proof of what I've been up to, we can see, for example, here's a brief for the Everstranger, and then maybe more interestingly is his references, right? So these are references that I send to the artists to say, here, kind of like this. This is our current illustration we have of the Everstranger from our first book, 3 years ago now, Legends of Avallen. So it'll be somewhat based on this. And then here is a statue of the Ever Stranger that features in current artwork. And then here's some reference pieces of art that I send to the artist to say, this is the kind of vibe we're going for. And this is a statue of the Grim Reaper. Because did you know the Grim Reaper is a Celtic... That imagery of the Grim Reaper is an old Celtic...
yeah, that makes
vision.
sense.
Yeah. And then
They did it first.
Yeah, they did it first. And then the old Triskelion. So there's an example of one brief, the Ever Stranger. It takes me ages to do briefs, unfortunately. But that is what it is. And then another exciting brief is for the Goblin Fae and the Tylwyth Teg. So this is for the Tylwyth Teg, the Faerie Court of the Everfather. This is our current depiction of the Everfather, that again will be updated at some point. And this is our current depiction of his Fae, the Goblin. So we want to do an updated version of this artwork. Because this artwork was made for our original deck of cards, and it wasn't actually made for the book per se, so it had a kind of different art style, so I want it to be updated in the new art style. And then here are some reference pieces. So one of the reference pieces is Magic the Gathering card, and the reason why that is because it's a blue goblin with mushrooms on his head. It's just like part of the spec for the goblin is that some of them are friendly and they offer you nice mushrooms. They are also mining people, so I got this artwork here for Magic, the mining goblin. And then we have the evil ones. They're called red caps, right?
Ooh, I'm gonna pause you for a second. We got a first-time chatter. Pew pew pew. Fate of the Dice D&D. Welcome to the chat.
Fate of the Dice D&D. So now I know that that's not a bot. That's a good name. Cool. Fate of the Dice D&D. Do you make content? Is that like a content name? Are you?
Or do you just really believe in fortune and the fortunes and letting the dice roll and letting fall where they may?
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us know your feelings on dice and randomness. Yeah. And we are talking about so these are gonna be updated, and you're writing your briefs. Big Zig said that he would love to do one of these pieces, by the way.
Yeah.
Because
cool. So this piece is interesting. So this is what I call a community piece. So there's different kind of art commissions that I do. One of them is environmental. One of them is particular characters that require a lot of iteration on a certain character to get a look. And the other one I call a community piece. And a community likes drawing characters best. Okay, noted. A community piece is where I tell the artist, hey, I don't actually care about the particular details for these characters. These characters aren't anyone in particular. They're just representations of a community. You can draw them kind of however you want. I just want them to be like this and like this. This is like a vision of a community. And so they end up drawing like 3 to 4 characters where they make it their own way as long as they're within the confines of what it is. And then we don't really iterate them on them either. It's just like once it's done, it's done. It's like nothing to change because this isn't a particular character that needs a certain way. This is just a vision of a community. So this is for, like I said, the Everfather's Faerie Court. So we have the goblins here, but we also have the Tylwyth Teg, which are like the demigod versions of these Fae. And so I had to give him reference material for that as well. And I have 2 ideas here. One is like these super heroic kind of Celtic characters for the Everfather, who's like the Court of Triumphs. They're like what you imagine when you think of like the super heroic mythic characters from Celtic mythology. And then also had this idea of these stone warrior people, because we depicted the Everfather as being made of stone and they live in a mountain and mines and that kind of thing. So I really like this idea of these stone figures that are literally hard as rock. And I was really happy with it. And sometimes you find reference material that's like so perfect, you're kind of like, oh, I wish I could just have that instead. And these 2 pieces are just so perfect. I wish I could have these instead, but they're not mine, so I can't. But sometimes I do reach out to artists and say, hey, are you using this for anything? If not, I will pay you for it. That's happened a few times, actually. So, yeah.
Very cool, very cool. So these will obviously go in your intent is to put these into the Court of Triumph section, right? The Everfather Faeseeker section. Okay, cool. Fate also said that they stream D&D games. Very cool. Cool.
Nice.
Do you stream, by the way, your own adventures, or do you stream printed campaigns. Oh, we got another first-time chatter. Pew pew pew.
Sorry.
We should have a soundboard. We could have like a Celtic sound. Like we should have a Carnix. A Carnix is a giant brat. Is it Carnix? Am I saying correctly? A Carnix is the Welsh battle horn.
Oh, cool.
It's like a giant horn that goes up into the sky. They're fucking awesome. I want to buy one, but they're like $2,000. And also, I don't know where I would put it in my house in Japan. But yeah, I want a Carnix air horn whenever someone's a first-time chatter. We'll talk about that off stream.
Yeah. So, I mean, I should do this every time, but as a quick introduction for our first-time chatters, since we actually have 2 right now. So we're at Addison Games. We make Welsh Celtic mythology inspired role-playing game books. This is our previous book Against the Faerie Queen, which is an epic campaign that we previously finished, and now we're working on a new one, which is a source book, a Faeseeker's Guide to Avallen.
Yeah, it got funded, and we're proud of it, and now we're trying to make the best book that we can, and have a public record of it, because we actually write the things and pay artists, and we're very proud of doing that. So, and then Cyrus, right? If I'm saying that right, just talked about a dumb thing in D&D that they did. They entered a male dragon, and they cast polymorph on themselves and turned into a great ape, and then the wizard cast enlarge. So you basically Ant-Man the dragon. I got you.
Yes, we call that Ant-Man. Yeah.
You Ant-Man. Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So and how many art briefs do you have to do, Darren?
2. Well, I mean, there's. Well, let's go to our plan. You can see how many illustrations there will be. Too many is the answer. Where is it? Between 50, 60, between 70 and 80, which honestly is too many. So I don't know. I have to make my briefs briefer, I think, is part of the plan.
Sure.
Yeah. But honestly, the hardest part is finding the reference material. It's so hard to find reference artwork.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation, which we don't have to get into right now, of AI just ruining referencing.
Yeah.
Zelfia said that they've seen a Carnix at a pagan festival. They're awesome. Yes, they are. They look so cool. I haven't seen one in real life yet, but I'm about it. And Sirius, unfortunately, you didn't go in the dragon's butthole, but that's fine. It's a thought that counts in the atmosphere of it. And Dig is sharing that they used necromancy to resurrect the dead rabbit and made it a giant and rode it as your mount. That is fun. You should drop.
That doesn't sound dumb. That sounds incredibly smart to me.
That sounds amazing. Yeah. Oh, and his other hole. Got it. All right. Well, we don't have to. This is a family-friendly chat sometimes, so we don't have to.
I mean, all organisms have many holes, so, but yeah.
That's true. All organisms have many holes. That's Darren Ostrich, 2024. Copyrighted. Yeah. I'm gonna put that on your tombstone.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So let's move on now to some more exciting stuff, which is that's not true. Artwork's exciting, but
artwork is exciting.
What have you been up to, dearest?
Been doing some writing. So my eye holes have been focused on writing stuff about the Court of Games, which is our Faerie Court for a god called the Everchild. So there are 5 in our world. There are 5 Sealy courts, 5 Faerie courts.
Cyrus, I mean, you're patently wrong for a start on your account there. Try again. But then also maybe let's calm down on the holes chatter. Yeah. Welcome in, but we're not a whole dedicated stream. We're a Celtic mythology dedicated stream.
We are holy. We're a different kind of holy men. With that saying, we're druids of the Celtic of the Celtic people, bringing the news of the
I
everyone.
appreciate your passion and
yeah. Thanks, 66. All right, so moving on. So we're here talking about the domains of the Everchild. Now, in the other books, we do talk about the Everones, who are the gods. But the nice thing about this is we talk more in these sections. We're talking more specifically about some of the elements of worship for these specific deities, and also making mention of some of their Faerie Courts, the elements of the Faerie Courts, where their castles are, what they might look like, and what their servants Telethig in that court might look like and appreciate. And so that's kind of what we explore in this section. If you backed our Kickstarter and downloaded the PDF, we did the Everstranger. The Everstranger is like Darren showed earlier, the god of death and revelry and so on. And the Everchild is a kind of androgynous epicene, is a fancy way of saying it. Youthful god that died when they were young, and so when they ascended to godhood, they never grew up basically, and they're very fairy-like. And Darren's showing the art on the screen right now, one of the depictions of the Everchild, and their portfolio of worship are gains, technology, youth, and mercantilism, trade. Yeah. No worries, Fate. Do your thing, man. Or person, do your thing, and feel free to lurk.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
But if something, if you gotta pop in and got a thought, share it. So yeah, this section of the book is, I think, just on this page, I finished we touched up a 5-page draft.
Yeah.
How many?
I mean, no, I think it's accurate. You mentioned somewhere that you already went over page count, but I think it was kind of perfect for the length it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Because it's 3.5 pages of lore, and you've got 1, 2, 3.5 pages here. It goes over a bit over 3.5, but we also have these 3 lines up here that are wasted on this note, right? So it's probably fine. Maybe we cut it down a little bit, but it's fine for now. And yeah, you did.
And how many pages of approximately how many real book pages is that?
Oh, dude, don't ask me this every damn time. I don't know.
Is it 8? Okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
you're right. I'll go back to the other stream to figure it out.
It's funny, actually. I left the timestamp specifically for you on that YouTube video.
Oh, that's right. I asked you to do that too. Make sure you let me know. Yeah, fair. So
so should we go through this then, and we'll go through our comments specifically, rather than obviously you're not going to read the whole thing, but we could go through our comments together, and people can see what that's like.
So I wrote. So I think I finished this yesterday, and we haven't talked about it at all. So all the impressions and comments are going to be exchanged and thought about in real time. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Okay, so we begin with some lovely flavor text about the Osane, which is our narrator for the book, and it says some cool stuff which I really liked. You said Cavella here, and then I immediately thought, that doesn't sound right. Did you mean Caleva? Is it a place that's on the map already, or did you invent somewhere?
Oh no, I meant Caleva. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. In that case, it's just a typo, just a typical Kurt typo. Okay. That's fine.
It's a Kurt typo.
Yeah. So we'll fix that now. Fix that in post. Then wrote here something about she-wolves, and I liked this. So I can't tick it to get rid of it because it gets rid of the idea. But yes, I like this. Yes, I say yes, approved.
So so there's this bit in where the author Osane was a street urchin, but he says that he found help from she-wolves, which was a term that they used for prostitutes in ancient Rome. Cool. And that's something I learned in researching this section. I did not know. And
I'm wondering if we could also have he-wolves though as well. What that entails. Yeah.
No, I don't. Well, they're called den. I don't know. It's up to you.
And that's interesting as well because you know the origins of Rome, right?
Oh yeah. Of course. So there's probably more. What do you call it? Respect given to it because of through that association, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one would hope anyway. But those that don't know, the legendary mythical founders of Rome were raised suckling at a she-wolf. They also brothers, I think, raised by a wolf after their kingdom had been destroyed or something, and then they founded Rome. So Rome traces its heritage back to a wolf, basically.
So I'm sure they must be related. I'll do deeper reading. Okay. So far,
But here is a more interesting comment, I think. So you wrote here, once you've heeded my advice to gain the approval of the Faerie Court, you too will become a valuable agent in changing Avallen for the better. And then you wrote down here, Kurt, that my idea here is that Osane is writing this book to shape Avallen and change Avallen in order to gain greater favour with his court. This is his invention. And why it's significant is the court of games, the court of the Everchild values inventions, right? And you said perhaps a Fae sees the waning power of the Everchild and hopes this tome will become an effective proselytization tool.
Yeah.
And then you said whether or not this is objectively good or not can be up for a debate. Do you want to read what I have said in response?
Yeah, so Darren shit on me and said no. Said, doesn't this conflict? I'm gonna do it as if you're like a redditor who's criticizing. Like, doesn't this conflict with the awesome opening? We say that if any Fae caught wind of sharing their secrets in his book, this isn't your voice, by the way. I don't think
that's the
like
redditor's voice. Yeah,
if there are secrets in his book, he'd be turned inside out. I think his motivation is far more compelling and it's less grand. It's just him trying to cement the secret legacy of himself and his mentor that he can't sing about.
Yeah, do I write like a redditor? That sounded perfect. I'm so embarrassed right now.
No. You don't sound like a redditor. I just thought it'd be funny because that's how. One of the great things about me and Darren working together is we can talk about things and like take it in stride.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually probably rare. I think a lot of people, if you comment on their shit, they like.
I guess the difference is that maybe the issue isn't I sound like a redditor. It's that a redditor sounds like me when they have no control or authorship over the subject that they're talking about, right? Whereas in this episode, I actually am the person that has the control and authorship about this subject.
Yeah.
So this is how I'm supposed to sound, and redditors are impersonating us creators, right? Maybe that's the interest of that. Is that they shouldn't talk to that because they have the right to talk like that. Maybe that's the rub, as it were.
But that's a good catch. That's a really good catch.
Yeah.
And whether or not it's this, I mean, it's just an idea I played around with of like, well, maybe this book itself is an invention since he serves the Court of Games, and whether or not that's kind of compelling, or maybe it's like.
I think you could like. To have your cake and eat it too, but I maybe there's not a space for the idea. But I think like there could be the concept of like one day in the future he thinks that they could appreciate it, right? But now's not the time. They're not ready, kind of thing. Maybe he's even more ahead of his time,
Well, a lot of this too could be subtext, right? Because the subtext that I'm dealing with, and this is like subtext, the fact that in our lore. The Court of Games is diminishing because that's the main area where the Rakshans are coming in, right?
Yeah.
So it could be on some level the Court of Games wants to increase the number of worshippers and people who can sort of like recognize their power, and Faeseekers to be agents of that. So it could be that the Fae that wanted to write, there could be factions that want this to sort of occur and factions that don't want it to happen at all, right? Yeah. And that could also be a subplot that we don't have to be super explicit about.
Yeah, but fundamentally, I much prefer this book to be a more selfish thing than to be for a bigger cause thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't want him to be preaching, at all, basically.
Okay, that's fine. So it's more keeping it more personal.
Yeah.
Similar to, because a big inspiration for this character is the book of, I will say the name incorrectly, I'm sure, Taliesin?
Taliesin, Taliesin, I think it's been
okay. But the book of Taliesin, and how it's not written by Taliesin, but other poets that like love Taliesin, but by writing about it and putting them in proximity, they sort of raise their own profile. So that's kind of where that previous idea came from, and I'm okay with picking it because it keeps us on that path. So I mean, I'll edit it. It's not such a big deal to cut it. Sometimes you're just cooking, right?
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm as soon as I saw it, I immediately knew that was happening. It's like, oh, Kurt saw a connection here and put it together. But it's not like a big thing. I see you do that a lot, and sometimes we have to break those chains, but sometimes they're also really good. So
I think that's what I like about writing, is trying to find those connections. But you're right, you don't always have to put chocolate with your chicken.
Yeah.
Okay. There's
yeah. Okay. So anyway, then we introduce what the Everchild is about to the reader, and what the domain. That's the thing. We need to change this word here, I think. Because we changed it to dominion instead of domain, because there's the word of domain when it comes to gods to mean like the purview of their divinity.
Yeah.
What parts of the world fall under their control and things. That's what we mean by domain, right? So this is the domain. What do you
The
have
word
here?
I always
Yep.
want to use is portfolio.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to
forgot.
use that word.
I know you don't, and also it probably doesn't make sense with D&D, but
Yeah.
because I learned it when I was a child, it's just stuck in my mental craw. Anyway,
Alright,
sorry,
interesting. Okay. Anyway, so here you wrote technology, and I just wrote invention.
Okay.
Yeah, just as like,
Wait, what?
like because technology is more specific, and invention's
Oh,
broader.
sure.
Yeah.
That's fair. Especially we have more modern connotations for that. By the way, a thing I do a lot when I'm writing
Yeah.
is I'm constantly looking up etymologies and seeing whether or not something is.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Because sometimes I'll use a word and I'll be
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I can use. I mean, obviously, because English isn't what it's a new invention, but I try to err towards older words when I can, and yeah, invention definitely sounds better. Actually, I'm gonna do that right now. Invention etymology. Half of my right time.
I'm guessing.
Latin. Yeah, so that's it. So it is Latin from, was it got my screen. Invenir. To discover. And so if something has like Latin or Greek roots, I'm like, okay, that's like older. That would be all right. But if something is like Middle French, sometimes I'll be like,
or Germanic. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Germanic's that's
yeah.
what you say. It's
I'll be
more.
yeah. But if something's like Middle French like origins, I'll be like, let me see if I can find a different way to say this. I do that a lot, and it takes up some time. But it's my that's my autism. That's how my.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about it unless it's for like things like stuff. I wouldn't avoid using Middle French words in our text. But if you're gonna name something,
No, I'm saying like
yeah.
if something sort of seems weird to me, I'll make a judgment and look it up, and then even then I'll still make another judgment. But
Yeah,
I'm just letting you know that's part of my process.
Yeah,
because that's
like the interesting like the word Asian here sticks out to me. Asian feels like very modernly, like secret agent, that kind of thing. But I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I think that's probably an old German word. No, it's gonna be French, isn't it? Asian. Let's find out together.
No. Asian comes from ayer, which is Latin for doing. So it also has a Latin root. So.
Also, what website do you use? Do you use Wiktionary or do you use something else?
I just use I use Google first, but there's also Etymonline, I guess, and Wiktionary. So one of those three.
Oh shit!
Obviously...
Zilfia says that she's French. I'm so sorry, Zilfia. I didn't know.
No. Oh well, we pretty know.
So, that's me being rude.
Right, that's not racism. That's just a British. That's just dry British humor.
Yeah, that's just some light ribbing across the channel. Don't punch her. Yeah, it's fine. I was being mean. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So no. Yeah, appreciate it. I took French in high school and I'm terrible at it. Well, okay. Obviously, like the word Asian, like you said, that is you can't get away with it, right? I'm not gonna. I guess I could choose another word, but English is a hodgepodge of different things, and that's okay. But I just try to be conscious of it, and like, okay, well, what words were like invented in like the 20th century that I just think are old, but actually aren't old? And
yeah, fair enough.
I don't know.
Okay, here's an interesting thing. Let's move on to the next sentence. So we say here, the Godling of tricks, invention, and youth is often depicted as a lithe, androgynous child. So the explicit gender of the Everchild is not revealed. We don't know whether they're a girl or he or something in between, because they're a child and they're pre-pubescent, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to know, and so they're referred to as they throughout the book. And you wrote earlier, and I realised that actually, because we say his and he for the Everstranger with a capital H, which I think is cool because it kind of like literally deifies them, right, as a god. And so I try to make an effort to make sure every time we say they or their, we're referring to the godling, that it's capital T. And it actually helps as well because I don't know if it's because I'm too old, but I sometimes find the they, them thing confusing in certain contexts. It can be difficult to know what's being referred to or who's being referred to, rather. And it happens a few times here as well, because sometimes you refer to they to mean the worshippers.
Yeah.
And sometimes you refer to they to mean the Everchild. But now if we capitalize they, and they're in the mid-sentence, then you know it's always, when it's capitalized, then it refers to Everchild. And I think that's kind of cool, actually.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Rubber stamped. Green light. Let's do this. Your pronoun. Their pronouns are capitalized.
Yeah.
Zilphia you got Zilphia crackling over there.
Good.
Cackling, not cackling.
The French-English rivalry is as old as time. I mean, we literally had
But
a war
Zilfia
that
is
lasted for 100 years. That's the kind of stuff you'd write fantasy novels about, and people say that's not realistic, but it happens.
But one, Zilfia is French Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that still counts. And two, technology was way worse. It's not, so yeah, it'll just last long because, whatever. Things moved at a slower pace. It was a different time. It was more relaxing. Even war was more laid back then.
Yeah. So then you say it's common for tribes to show the Everchild position some tool. So this is new. This is Kurt riffing and adding ideas in, which is cool.
This is Kurt riffing, yes.
Yeah. And I was like, this is cool. And I just, like, you said some tool, and I think crafting. But I thought in my head more like these should be, instead of tools, there should be like inventions, like new things that people are finding relevant to them today, perhaps. And so I wrote in the comment here, I said, like, inventions like scales or the plow or cart, like wheels for carts and coins and things like that. Less so a saw, or things that are like... What, yeah? You think a saw is good?
No. I think just things that are important to them are fine, because then it's like implying that they're the origin of whatever the thing is, right? True or not. And I guess it's inspired by, like I have this book here, with it British Folklore, Myths and Legends. Mm-hmm. And here's like artwork of Essos, like a mysterious god from the Pillar of the Boatman of Paris. And it looks like he's like holding like something like a chisel or whatever. I don't know. And I like that imagery, right? Of like...
I like it too, but I'm wondering whether it should be here or with a different god. Is where I'm going.
Well, you mean the idea of different like origin tools being with a different god, like a hammer being the Everfather, or... Yeah,
essentially. It's like, I don't know, like, is where to split this hair. Is that the expression, split a hair?
To draw
the line, I guess, is probably a more
specific. No, what was it when you do to where to gerrymander your godly gerrymandering?
So let me find. So I actually did write about what Celtic deities each god was inspired by, and maybe Essos is written under the Everchild, in which case then I will eat my humble pie and embrace your hammer chisel aesthetics.
And the idea of and like the sort of the idea is, I make mention of Lugh, right? Lugh the Longhand, who's a popular or an important Irish god, but is also in the Mabinogion, and is kind of like another god of like invention and light and inspiration and so on. And he's known for inventing games. So there's all like a lot of these gods are, we're just going to use their names, but they're going to be like part of like the Faerie Court pantheon.
Yeah. I don't recognize it. I wrote down Mathion, Nisian, and Gwydion. I said Everchild is our trickster god.
Oh yeah.
Youth, potential, and chaos. Is the
Gwydion? Yeah, I was Gwydion yesterday.
Yeah. So anyway, under next you wrote down Everchild wielding a hammer and chisel, and I see him again for like this artistry. But I really didn't like the imagery of him holding a hammer, and I don't know why. And I think it's because I think of the Everfather being associated with fire and war, and I picture him holding a smithing hammer sometimes, And I just thought that conflicted with it. That was all.
Well, okay. What I'm offering is that this is in terms of what we're doing, the tension between one creating lore that's kind of clear cut because we're making the thing, and the different, and also still trying to be faithful to how things did work, and having this kind of slightly looser view of how these things, I think it's fine to, you can tell me if I'm wrong, I don't necessarily think that if you see the Everchild with a smithy hammer, that the Everfather couldn't be depicted with a smithy hammer. If anything, that can create interesting conflicts between different peoples who believe that their god, Godling, is the one who is responsible for the thing.
Maybe, right? But I don't know. There's like enough space out there for them to be in their own spaces, and when, like, I would put it down to the Everfather is some kind of god related to mining, fire, smithing, war, and the Evermother is goddess of beauty. So if I think hammer and chisel, I think beautiful statues, and that would make me think of the Evermother. And if I think of just hammer, I would think smithing and bashing things, which is Everfather. But when I think of the Everchild, I think cogs and like finer tools that probably don't exist yet because they don't have clock working, you know? Like,
Sure.
So I don't really think tools when I think of the Everchild. I think like intellect. I think game pieces. I think of it's the idea part, it's the thinking part behind all this stuff. It's not the stuff itself. It's the concept of it. So I don't know what thing they would hold to symbolize. I mean, obviously game pieces would be one and coins.
Yeah. I mean, you do have the difference of them using cards and stuff. Yeah. I'm also thinking of what would realistically be depicted with, like, you know, stone. How they would be depicted, right, in carvings and metalworking and so on. And you can't just put like a board game.
No, you can't. But you can put coins. You can put jewels. You can.
Yeah. And that's great. I'm okay with.
Like, what did I say? I even said wheels as well. Like, I don't know. I have wheels. Plows.
Sure. Hold on. Where's this comment? I'll put a note for myself.
Yeah, it's in the both of them, I think.
Well, so I'll say, yeah, we'll change to either more commerce, like commerce, commodity.
Commerce, yeah, and like I said, invention, it's hard to depict invention, yeah. But yeah, commerce. And I do associate farming with the Everchild as well. I think so one of these gods is a farming god. As opposed to...
You don't associate the Evermother with farming?
No,
I guess
it's Evermother's gardening.
Agriculture.
And it's different, yeah. It's because farming is like bending the earth to the human will. It's very much a technology. It's a technology-driven enterprise.
Okay. Well, this gives further. Sorry, we're getting really deep into the lore. This gives even further credence to me making Epona related.
Horses. Yeah. Well, and I think you can as well, because obviously the chariot reading and that kind of stuff is very much present in the Penkoa lands, because they're the ones that have the grand meadows that are large enough for huge farming communities and things like that. Like, depend by living forests. I mean, depends what you mean by farming, right? When I think of farming, I think of huge fields. Obviously, you could farm animals and you can farm plants and gardens, and they would do that. And the Pendrike would farm as well, but it's a different kind of farming. Yeah.
Zilfi says Blue is wonderful. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And Irish Dagda gives Everfather vibes. Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Yeah. Actually, I found a lot of imagery of Dagda for reference material for the Everfather's Talwith Taig. Is like Elite Fae, that mythic, larger than life Celtic hero kind of depiction. Yeah, exactly. Right, Sylvia. Anyway, so yeah, that was just a thing that kind of like tripped my mind a little bit. Like,
that's cool. I mean, I made a note. I'll modify it.
It's funny though, because like, we spent 10 minutes talking about this, but it's not what you think of as a big deal, right? It's not like anything's gone wrong here. It's just a few mentions of words that could just get slightly changed, but then it leads to big discussions about gods and.
Yeah, they're important because it gets us in line with the sort of world consistency. Because now that you've changed my mind, like, okay, well, going forward, it saves me time. Because if you just change the words and I didn't question it, when I write stuff later, we'll just keep fighting. But if it's like, okay, you convince me and understand it, that will inform my writing process going forward, and I can, move that way.
Yeah.
So, that's why these conversations are important, because it makes me a better writer for this project.
Yeah, but then there's like, I don't know, other times where because obviously, when I'm leaving comments, it's usually things that I want to change or make notes of, and then it feels like overly negative. But then, like, when there's no comments, it's like, well, that paragraph was awesome, right? That's exactly going for. And there's ideas in here as well that are cool as well. So sometimes I try to bring them up. Let me move to a section where there's a comment that just says, here, you're disciples of change, and I was like, nice. There's a positive comment. There's another one as well, something that I thought was really cool as well, but we'll find it in a bit.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So next, Everchild's Dominion. Oh yeah, here. So I wrote something funny. What did I say? No, is that somewhere else? Oh yeah, this was interesting to me.
Which one?
this whole section here, flavor text, you wrote about the monoliths, the stone circles, and the chalk drawings that obviously are inspired by real life monuments that are found across Britain.
Yeah.
And I really liked it. I just felt that this section would be better off inside the section about the Pencawer and about their lands, as opposed to about the Everchild's Dominion. Because it seems like it has more to do with the things you see in the Pencawer, like actually in Avallen, and it speaks less to. Like, what did I say here? I said this flavor text speaks of sights seen in Avallen, not at noon. It would be better placed in the Pencawer culture section. I think this domain section should focus on the Everyone's domain and subjects.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah.
Then would it be like an idea of this? So let's move some of these ideas to the Pencawer section later.
Yeah, exactly. Don't delete it. I'm just going to cut and paste that and stick it straight in the Pencawer section instead. Yeah.
And focus more on would it make sense to focus on? I guess the way I did it this way is because in the Everstranger section I mentioned Dawn as as a subgod. So I wanted to sort of keep that theme across the sections of somehow mentioning
Yeah, I like that idea. And then I realized when I got to the second paragraph, it's like, oh, that's what you're doing here. But I guess my answer is there another way you can do that?
I can do it another way, sure.
Yeah. Sure. But there was a really important point. I don't know where it is now. It might be later on. But I wrote something that was important. Well, I guess it must be here somewhere. If it doesn't, then I'll bring it up in a second. Anyway, this part's funny. Yeah, next part's funny.
Oh wait. So the Everchild resides eternally in Caer Golid.
Yes.
An eerie fortress of chalk white walls beset with lattice gates of luminescent black obsidian. It's basically in a world of. Wait, where did I put the word? Do I have Twilight here?
Yeah, it comes later. You mentioned Twilight later. But yeah, my comment was eerie. I said it doesn't seem very Everchild, more Ever-Elder or Stranger. Can we use a different word like dizzying or... I couldn't think of a good word, but I know that the Ever-Stranger and the Ever-Elder's places are going to be eerie. And I don't want this place to be eerie, because there's going to be enough eeriness in those kind of dark places. Like, eerie has a dark connotation to me.
Really? Oh, eerie to me has weird, strange, creepy, but kind of fun. It can also be kind of
creepy.
Fun.
I don't want creepy. The Everchild's domain shouldn't be creepy unless except when you see a giant spider. That's creepy, but the domain itself.
Here's our conversation. I think all of the other worlds should be creepy and eerie and weird. Every domain should be
weird,
a version
but not eerie.
Eerie doesn't. Okay, maybe it's my American. It could be an Americanism versus a Britishism. Eerie to me sounds cool, weird. Eerie
to me sounds spacious, empty. You're looking over your shoulder, kind of. Or what's that?
Oh, okay. Okay, what I imagine is when you if I wrote an adventure that says you're in the Everchild's otherworld, near the capital. I imagine the way we described the hillocks of the Everchild is
eerie. It comes from the word fearful.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be scary. I don't want the Everchild's domain to be scary, except when you're in the wrong place.
No. That's different. No, eerie to me isn't scary.
Yeah.
Eerie is slightly unsettling, but that's not necessarily.
But it literally means to inspire fear in a mysterious, shadowy way. Strange, weird. It's fear from strangeness.
It's like a. God, I'm trying to get you on my side, but it's like a weird kid, right? It's like a kid.
Yeah, but I don't want a creepy kid either. That's still horror movie vibes.
No. I'm not saying a creepy kid. I'm saying mischievous. There's a mischief about it.
Yeah, but that's not eerie.
When something's weird and strange and kind of off-putting.
Okay, I'm looking at the definition of the word. It says inspiring fear in a mysterious, shadowy way, strange, weird, synonyms, creepy, spooky. So if we agree on the definition, I don't want that. I'm just saying, flat out, I don't want the Everchild's domain to be eerie, inspiring fear.
When I look up eerie, and I use the Oxford languages, whatever, on that Google pulls up, it's unearthly. Kind of spectral, curious, queer,
Okay, well, this it doesn't matter. This is like one of those like we disagree, and so
Sure.
I'm lead creator.
Right.
This is a foot down moment. I don't want the Everchild's domain to be eerie, just flat out. Sorry, and it's fine. It's just a word,
Right.
but I really need to reconceptualize your view of it.
Okay.
Like a little bit creepy is okay, but I want it to be because I know that the Ever Stranger and the Ever Elder's domains are going to be fucking creepy and weird.
Okay.
And that's that space, and I want this place to be more. I think I wrote down somewhere like Peter Pan. Like I want it to be more. Like I want you to go this place and not want to leave, and that's kind of like the seduction of it, right? You get to this place and you don't ever want to leave because it's just so much fun. It's so colourful. It's so wonderful.
Okay.
Like I want those kind of stories to be told there, and that's because I'm trying to mark out different adventure, story, and genre tropes, and I know we already have eerie for this space. So I want this space to fulfill a different need. And there are like those kind of fairy tale stories, right? The literal fairy tales of like these fairy tale places.
That could just be my prejudice in the connotation of the word, because I'm just like, oh yeah, Neverland? Yeah, that's kind of eerie. A fucking weird island of children where none of them ever grow up. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is weird, but I wouldn't ever call it eerie.
I don't know, I might.
Okay, but then we disagree on the definition of the word eerie, but that's fine. Just
Sure, or how you feel. That's fine. That's fine. Here's the thing. I'm willing to. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And it could just be that I have understandings and connotations about it that are different from other people.
Yeah.
In which case, I should just anyway, because then that means my understanding is different, and that that's fine.
Yeah. And then in the same sentence, so you wrote Black Obsidian, and I said, "Is the Everchild in?" I should say the emo phase. Just because it's white and black, and I just said, was it? This is a fort amongst green meadows filled with. Well, you say purple meadows. That's right. It should be green meadows. It should be purple meadows.
Oh, purple meadows.
No, you said purple meadows. I said green meadows. This is where I was wrong. You were right. I shouldn't say green meadows here. I should say like purple meadows, filled with giant animals and fluffy fae. This is our childlike wonderland. Just more color, is what I said.
So the reason it's black and white to me is, I guess it's evocative of like games, right? Like white versus black.
That's where you're coming from. I did wonder. I couldn't think of where you got this black and white idea from, but yeah.
And not necessarily just black and white, but the sort of binary nature of games of like
win lose
opposition. Yeah, win and lose opposition, but not. But kind of stark. Like that kind of starkness. There's no gray, right?
Yeah.
It's like child logic.
Yeah.
Things are black or they're white. You win or you lose.
Okay.
It's fun or it's not fun.
Yeah. So I guess you could say it's kind of Alice in Wonderlandy in a way.
Yeah. So it draws on that kind of.
Like, but I'm more thinking of like the imagery one might expect from a fairy tale world should be in our world somewhere, and this is the place for it to be. Does that make sense?
I get that. I'm looking at
Oh, you put ideas here for different court names. That's cool. Court of Games, Court of Wages, Court of Pebbles. That's interesting. Court of Boards, don't like that. Court of Crafters, nah, less so. Court of Games is also fine, yeah. Wages is interesting, but that sounds. Kids don't make wages, you know. Pebbles. Where'd you get the idea of Pebbles from? What is that? It sounds cool. What is it from?
Well, Pebbles, for children. Pebbles are really interesting, right? Because pebbles are like treasures to children. Yeah,
and sometimes they're coins that you trade or you bet on things, and you could skip pebbles. Exactly. It's kind of playful. Yeah, I kind of like it. And the small.
And they're also a form of game pieces. They're like probably the first game pieces we had, right?
Yeah.
And they're what children would use in childhood to play games.
Yeah, I really like that. Like as soon as I read it, I was like, that's intriguing and interesting. And then I kind of thought of the connotations, and it felt kind of right.
And then en masse, millions of pebbles create mountains, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how society is formed. We have children that gather and coalesce.
And to go on a thing that we discussed off stream one time, I like the idea of these names of our courts being something that the gods might call their fae. So the Ever Stranger, there's Court of Shadows. He could call his individual fae my shadows. These are my shadows. And the Court of Petals for the Evermother, she can call her individual fae like my petal or my petals. And Pebbles is a very sweet, endearing term that sounds very cute. And
it's also cute.
Yeah.
By the way, Zilphia sided with you. Eerie implies bad. All right, fair enough. All right, you got me, Zilphia. As far as I'm concerned, Zilphia is the final, the be all and end all, the final judge, the final boss, and I did that, so that's fine. All right, I got you.
So yeah, so now I'm actually really torn right now because Court of Games sounds cooler and feels more appropriate, but I think Court of Pebbles is way more intriguing and less obvious in a good way. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Right. I'm okay with that.
I think
and we can make it.
Yeah, I'm gonna change it to Court of Pebbles for now, and to see how it sits and how other people react to it, and see what we feel like in a month's time. We can change it back, but yeah.
I can also put a line of true text like talking about the name, right? Like I could what I told you here. I can condense that into a sentence about
to explain it.
Why it's called Court of Pebbles. Yeah. I think that's okay.
Yeah. But like,
all right. Well, I'm glad you like that was my favorite one.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's like a sign, isn't it? It's like when it's something you really like and you put it and meet someone on a list, someone picks up the same thing. Yeah, it feels good.
Now, obviously, this is a good point about where the creative aspect of this stuff comes in, because it's like there's no Faerie Court called Court of Pebbles. This is an invention of ours, but it's trying to come from a sincere place that's authentic to the lore and our interpretation of it.
Yeah.
That's fun. So yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's potentially interesting. So if you're okay with it, with trying it out, I'm okay with trying it out.
Yeah.
We'll see how we feel.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's very cool. Nice one, Kurt.
No, thank you. Sometimes we get it right.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
And in a really good way. Okay, so what's here then? You said stories, Court of Games, Tony. Oh yeah, so here. Here was a bigger thing. You yourself wrote here that you think this section might be too long. Here Kurt talks about the mischievous nature of the Bubak and the Talwith Taig. Well, first of all, you describe the Talwith Taig, which is perfect because we want a description of those people. And then you talk about the Bubak and their love for riding and making how fairy rings are made in our world, which you don't really quite elucidate. You just say that's something to do with riding, and they're used to trap people that leave parties early. And then you talk about fairy hounds for filling giants, things like that, which is awesome. My issue I had with this was actually something that you didn't think of, and it was that.
Oh no.
Yeah, I said in the Everstranger's version of this section, you described the responsibilities of his Fae, but here you mention an activity. And I want to instead learn here what the purpose of the court is. Like, what do they do? Games and pranks are part of it, but also being friendly to lonely children, helping pious households with chores, etc. Like, from this section, I want to learn what is the purpose of the court. What is it that the Fae? What is their purview? What kind of things would, as a Faeseeker, would I be? I know this down here is what I will do, but it's more like what grander goals am I supporting, you know? For the Everstranger, it's about guiding spirits and things like that, you know? And I think it's okay to say games and pranks are part of... Where did I write this? I wrote it somewhere else, I think. But like, I think it's okay to mention like, part of it is like knocking people down a peg. People that take themselves too seriously should be knocked down. Tyrants should be knocked down, that kind of thing. And that can play into this Faerie Court, this Faerie ring trap thing. But I want it to be, instead of framed as here's something they do for fun, as being like, here's the things that members of the court do, like different houses of the court do. Like one of them brings people down a peg by this way, but others like help children and things like that. Yeah.
Here I was going to be more, because the way this is similar to the Everstranger section is that it just kind of talks about how they fight against the Fithra in that world, right?
Yeah, that is good. You're right. Yes, that should be there. And it's funny you said that now, and I didn't realize that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so I guess maybe it's the framing's wrong. Like that content. Yeah, you're right. That's good. But it's just somehow.
Well, what's important? But for me, what's important is that it's not like, even though we're using structure, I also don't want every section to feel like we're, insert this color by numbers, right?
Formula.
Where it's like, because it'll feel too formulaic, right? Like,
why?
I want it to be.
Is that a problem? Like, isn't all the information different and interesting though? Like,
Well, because then I don't want it. I
Don't like.
want to.
Sorry to interrupt, but my argument is that as a person reading the book, I'm choosing to be a Faeseeker. Like
Yeah.
when I'm like window shopping between the different courts, I want to know like, oh, if I read here, I get this information. Oh, and if I read here, this one, I get similar information, but it's about that court instead. And like if I read here, I learn what this court does, and if I read here, I learn what this court does. Like, it's not good to have structure in that way.
I mean, but I'm arguing that I'm still kind of following that structure, but I'm dressing it up so that each one sort of reads differently and has their own character, because I think that's important too, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's like they have,
but when I read it, I didn't even realize it was too shrouded in Curt genius that I didn't even realize what you were doing.
But when you read it, you wonder. I mean, but it does that same thing, doesn't it? It says that like their steeds are important because they fend off the fell giants remaining on Moon that look to crush the Court of Games and retake their place on Avallen as rightful despots.
Yeah.
So that is, it may be shorter and it's not so on the nose.
Yeah.
But it says the same thing, which is their goal is to thwart the giants who are trying to break back across the.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't read this. No, you can like I was made a note on the whole thing, but I realized that actually this is fine. I think it's just the framing of. I think, like you said, there's too much time spent on the fairy rings. The way it just needs to be, the framing needs to be changed slightly, and mention one other thing as well. Like I like the idea of like children's imaginary friends. Sometimes are Bubak, you know, they're not imaginary. Things like that.
Yeah. Did you write that idea down?
I think I did.
Oh yeah, games. Part of it also being friend to lonely children.
Yeah.
Like imaginary children. Yeah. All right.
So
okay.
My point was that the content's good. I just wanted to add, maybe make this part shorter, reframe it slightly instead of like these are the kind of things the Fae does as opposed to.
And reframe to things that the court does. Yeah, and then we can and if I like this idea, we could just put it in the GM section, right? Like it'd be like an adventure thing somewhere.
Yeah, you're right. Like that's yeah, you're right, because explaining where fairy rings come from, it should be something that the players discover, not are told. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's something that people are told, but I was just putting the idea out there because it occurred to me, and I just wanted to write it down.
Yeah.
Whether or not this is right for it yet, it's hard to say.
Where'd you get the word galley traps from? Is that?
That's so. I gotta look at the etymology of that word. I'm assuming it. No, that's from Briggs. That's from the Encyclopedia of Fairies by Catherine Briggs.
Folklore, Cornwall, Devonshire, Gloucestershire, Somerset. Grass growing in a circle that possesses magical power, compelling anyone to stand with it to confess their wrongdoings. Yes, it's Cornish folklore.
Yeah. So a lot of this stuff too. Yeah, I think the thing I'm kind of proud of too is also in I think British goblins. The Bubak are known for like not liking pastors and priests and teetotalers, people who abstain from alcohol, and I kind of do that section.
And I think the theme there is really people taking themselves too seriously, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'll give this another pass.
Yeah, the point was just is workshopping, not like it's bad, change it. It's just slight reframing.
Galley traps was an interesting one, but I don't know. Like, I'll let you be the judge of whether or not we could just call them fairy rings. But I think it's cool to use this. I didn't know this word.
I think it's cool. I think it's cool too.
Yeah.
Next section is all is good. There's just like one note on. You wrote the word invaders, and I said that they should be called foreign friends or something else. Like I don't think that the Penkawa see them as invaders. They see them as allies.
Sure. I mean, this is a bit. It says tongue of one's invaders. It's also kind of tongue in cheek. It's just kind of like flipping, like, yeah, they're invaders, but it's fine. It feels like a mercantile, like a flippant way of referring to it. But if it doesn't work for you, that's okay too. I'm just worried too about making it Pencower politically correct, so to speak. But then it won't roll off the tongue as much. Especially because this is like meta text rather than diegetic like sensibilities, so to speak. I don't know. Like if you don't like it, sure, we can change it. But
let's quickly, because we're running. Actually, we're going 15 minutes over time now. But we need to talk about this anyway, right? So we're just talking about it.
We're just working. Yeah.
Then there's other notes here that aren't really relevant. You mentioned Trial of Combat. There must be a better way of saying this, and I said yes. Wager of Battle. We did it in against the
Wager
Faerie
Battle,
Queen and Care of the Borderlands. Yeah.
By the way, here's a writing tip for everyone.
Uh-huh.
Throughout the text, I put brackets for things I didn't know what to call yet, or that I want to change. If you're writing your own thing and you don't know what to call something, and you want to keep your momentum, just do that. Just put and then he bracket.
Yeah, I make that mistake all the time, dude. I get stuck. I'm like, what should I call this ability?
Yeah.
And I should just write ability 2 and then carry on.
Yeah. And put it in brackets so that you know that you're going to come back.
Yeah, that's good.
Later.
That's good.
That's a pro writing tip that I learned from other writers. Yeah. I didn't come up with that idea. That's someone else's idea.
Yeah. And then I want to read this string because I think it's really good, but I want you to fix it first. This last sentence here in the flavor text, he says, however, the opening doors open waking eyes as well. Oh, no, I get it now. It does make sense. Right? Yeah, I get it now. Yeah. It's really good. So, Kurt wrote here.
Got him, Chad.
Yeah. So, this is Osain speaking of the Everchild's fortress in the other world. And Osain says, I dreamt of Caer Golid. It stood upon a stark white plain of luminescent purple grass, a mighty fortress with sheer white stone walls against the black sky. Now, obviously, I mentioned here that changed the imagery slightly to make it more childlike and colourful, but that's neither here nor there. That's a previous comment. And then he continues, a moon bright as the sun, fixed at the zenith of the firmament. I could not tell if it was evening or eternal twilight. Approaching the doors of the great fortress, sounds of mirth and music drifted through open windows. High above, winged creatures playfully flit in and out of towers in gleeful chases. However, the opening doors opened waking eyes as well, and my vision was lost. I will see those vaunted halls again soon enough, though whether in this life or the next. And I really like that.
Oh, thank you. There's a problem though.
Yeah?
I used Nescent twice. I gotta wait,
fine.
do I use them?
Yeah. I mean, it's not fun to fix it, but yeah. It doesn't take away from the general...
Yeah, no, I'll change one of them. So change this to change. I like Luminescent the better. Change Luminescent.
And the key thing I want to point out here is obviously that this is Osain, and Osain is a person in our world, and we know Osain to be a follower of the Everchild. And so the way that Osain talks about this court is going to be different to the way he talks about other courts. And so I love the fact that this vision of the Caer Golid comes from a dream, and it's his dream. And doors opening, eyes opening is perfect because you want to see inside and you're denied it. And that's just really cool. Bit of storytelling that's tied into him as a person, also wanting to see inside because the reader wants to see inside, but he also wants to see inside. And then, but then he expresses the fact that he has faith that he will visit again at some point. And I just really like this. It's just great. This is Kurt at his peak Curtiness. It's good shit.
So hopefully he can keep the rest of the book. Yeah, the other thing too is like this implication for the players, right? Because the players are reading this.
Yeah.
And if they somehow visit, and the DM's going to have more information than what's available here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And so they're actually going to know what's in Caer Golid and how it's described and what to expect. And so when the players who read this stuff one day visit it, they'll feel like they've surpassed the Faeseeker that's teaching them about being a Faeseeker.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm aware of that. I think it's fun to play that. Oh, thank you. And you know, hopefully we're gonna have some.
Someone just knocked on my door. Be right back. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So this is for you, the audience. Hopefully we're gonna have. Osain is still gonna talk about the other courts too, but it's gonna be more like secondhand, like talking about someone else who visited it, or what the people of you know the Pennavonk lands think about the Court of Whispers, which is like our more Irishy Northern Isle stand-in type thing. But yeah, that's what I was doing yesterday. I was writing, and it was fun and it's rewarding. And writing's hard, but it's also, you know, like that. I didn't notice I used Luminescent twice. I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'll just change one of them, but it's fun, you know. It's rewarding, isn't it, when you write something and your peers are like, oh, cool, good job. Yeah, it's valid.
I'm back.
Validated. All those years of reading smutty Harry Potter fan fiction have paid off.
Okay, so then you write down the things that people of the court value. That's great. Oh yeah, and then I wrote down here beautiful. Actually, I wrote beautiful. Now, what did you say here that I thought was so good? The oppressive Cowers' rule lasted untold aeons under the witless might. Witless might, oh, that's so good. Witless might until the Everchild plotted their downfall. Whether defeating a cruel ruler with rebellion or simply diminishing a bully's influence with well-placed pranks, the court of gains lords a toppled tyrant. Oh, it's so good! It's so good!
By the way, I know it's cheesy, but I really love alliteration.
I know, me too. I'm also sucker for alliteration.
Anytime I can put subtle pieces of alliteration somewhere to make it sound more lyrical, it's like a poetic thing, right? Like you just want to sneak these little alliterative statements in to make it feel good. Well placed pranks.
I really like that as well. So I wrote a note of how much I liked it. Then moving on, and now it's my section. So if anyone's actually made it this far into the stream, there's actually some game rules here as well. I wrote the powers one might earn by becoming a Faeseeker for the Court of Pebbles, as we're now currently calling it.
Ooh, we're on the chain right now.
Well, let me I can just fix it, right? I need to go Control F.
Oh, sorry.
Find Court of Gains. Replace with Court of Pebbles. Replace all.
I wrote.
Done.
I
spelled it wrong, so I fucked it up.
I wrote Court of Peggle, and I think that's a different kind of court.
Yeah.
But whatever that would be, the Court of Peggles.
Okay, cool. Done. So, yeah. Yes. So, Court of Blessings from the Court of Pebbles. So does that mean this will be Pebbles' servant now? that sounds even funnier. Like, you're not even a pebble yet. You're the servant of a pebble.
Pebbles, yeah.
Well, again, these names are also pending, but yeah. So let me know what you think of these. So the first tier abilities are simple spells you get from the Fae. The first one is a subtle trick. You get to basically use telekinesis on small objects to trick and manipulate people and things. And then the other option is illusions, obviously. And I just try to play into the Everchild's love of games and tricks, basically, and I thought those were kind of the obvious choices.
So basically, you're a fucking cheater.
Yeah, as long as you don't get caught, it's fine.
An obnoxious piece of shit. It's the best. Yeah. So I mean, I like these. I guess my only worry about subtle trick. No, are these the final names?
No names are ever final. They're just suggestions. Yeah.
So in which case, I'm gonna do this. So I have to ask again.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, I would say all names are like that in that kind of sense. Like my point is, I would be happy to print that subtle trick and illusion trick. That would be fine for me to print. But I'm willing to hear.
I see.
Better ideas.
Well, I guess that's fair. Okay, your choice. But if you do this in the text of what you write for me,
then you'll think about it.
Yeah. Then I'll think about it.
Okay, fair. Then in that case, then all of this is fucking like that, because I want you to think about it more. Yeah. I think wind form is okay, but still, I'll do it. I like Trickster's Gambit though. That one can stay.
Yeah.
Okay. Then winged form, you gain, like, who doesn't want to get fairy wings? The Fae of the Everchild are the typical fairy winged creature that you might think of when you think of Fae, and so you want players to be able to have that as well. And so the winged form doesn't let them fly, it lets you move faster and evade giant creatures like giants. That's the intent there, and that's why they're defensive, but they only help you against melee attacks, because I wanted it to be like zipping in and out of creatures as opposed to dodging ranged attacks and spells and things like that. I want it to be used to weave between a giant creature, I guess. I could have made it just for giant creatures, but I felt like that would be too narrow. But maybe that's better because it's more flavorful. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? No.
Yeah, I mean, like, cause you're trying to make it whether or not it should be applied to the original enemy, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like the balance between power level and role playing, basically. Yeah.
You're right though. This seems like it might be too powerful to make all attacks disadvantaged.
Yeah. But it's just for one turn, though.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
No, maybe it's fine. Because the other side of it is by not putting that restriction, you make it more relevant.
Yeah. Exactly. It's more exciting and relevant. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Then Trickster's Gambit. This is our favorite. I kind of want you to read it and see if you understand it, but I think you already have read it, right? And you did understand it. But,
So followers of the Pebbles of the Everchild revel in the fairy tricks played upon them, so much so they learn how to share and manipulate tricks. I was trying to figure out if that was comma splash or not. So much so they learn how to share and manipulate tricks amongst their foes. Choose a mortal you can see. Randomly draw 4 fairy tricks. Choose one to suffer yourself. Your GM chooses one to remove. You choose one for your foe to suffer. So I think, even though I understand it... Oh, wait, no. If you're using this ability, it would cause you to suffer a fairy trick. The GM picks a single fairy trick from amongst the one you choose for yourself, and the others you could suffer. Likely the trick they deem the most punishing. So, yeah, I understand it. So basically you're choosing a trick to for you, then you'll choose, your GM will remove one, and then you'll have one of 2 tricks to apply. Mechanically, I think it works fine. It's good. One thing I want to offer is choose one to suffer yourself. I might say for the second one, you choose one to inflict upon your opponent. Can you inflict it? Is that not the right?
Yeah. Well, the reason why I wrote suffer is because the rules text for fairy tricks uses the word suffer.
Yeah, but the opposite. I'm just saying I think it's fine for the one that you suffer through.
Okay.
But the other, because you're using it offensively, you say inflict upon your enemy.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, because it feels weird to say suffer, I guess you could say make him suffer it, but I feel like inflict is the more active, the transitive.
Sure. Yeah.
Saying it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and that makes it clear that I think.
Yeah. Now there is an issue about this actually. That is. So this ability works if from a player's perspective, but I don't know. I mean, the GM could have an NPC character that is also a Faeseeker, right? We can't deny them that could be the case, and they could also have this power, right?
Yeah.
And as written, if that player uses that power, then the GM gets to choose both. So really, this should say your foe chooses one to remove, because then if an NPC uses against the player is the foe. They then have some agency about what they get subject to, right?
Yeah.
Which is something that we want. Well, that's part of the ability. I didn't want it to be too crazy. That's part of the safeguard rails for it. The problem with that is, again, it's a role-playing game versus power level thing. Is that if I say your foe chooses one to remove, it seems weird that actually in the world, the foe has agency in this process, you know? The reason why I said the GM is to take it away from the in-world and make it clear that it's from a rules perspective. The GM gets to decide, I don't want this one fairy trick you just found to completely fuck up my entire campaign. So I'm eliminating that one, but you can still choose from these 2, is my intent, right?
You're trying to basically reconcile the play of simulating a situation and the reality of the meta.
Yeah, exactly. The meta game. What actually happens when you use it? Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
I'm gonna offer this idea and shoot it down if you think it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Should it just be just choose one at random? You can either remove one at random, or of the 3 fairy tricks, one at random is inflicted upon your foe. So basically, the player chooses the person doing the ability chooses the least harmful one for themselves, and then you have the excitement of one of the 3 at random gets inflicted upon the opponent. and that'll actually make it faster. And it has a kind of this excitement to it too, right? Because the only sort of issue with this is that you're basically having 3 choices.
Yes.
You choose one, the GM chooses one,
then you choose one again,
and then again. But that might not be necessary and not add much more.
I mean, you raised some really good points there. That is interesting, and it would be more exciting. My fear of it is that, again, is if there's that one ability that would like really just ruin things for the game master. Well, I guess now you just got a 1 in 3 chance of it happening, right? As opposed to 0 chance.
But that makes it more fun to use.
That makes it more exciting. Yeah. All right, so fine. Yeah, we'll. This is one we have to play test for sure. But yeah, you convinced me. That. Yeah.
That's something. I would be more likely to use the ability for that reason. It's like gamble. It's like, well, it benefits me because that's like my brain triggering. I'm like, okay, well, yes, something bad will happen to me, but there's like a 33% chance that my opponent will get wrecked. So fuck it, let's do this. Like, let's roll the dice. That seems like the exact kind of Faeseeker I want to be. I'm about it.
Choose one to suffer yourself, then randomly choose one of the remaining 3 to inflict upon yourself, like that.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
And that makes it truly a gambit, right? Because I think that makes it more flavorful, actually, because all right, I like it. I think it's good. I mean, we'll test it though.
I'm just wondering now, though, because if you flip 3 and choose one randomly for them to be inflicted, that's less powerful than you flipping 4 and you removing 1, and then being randomly inflicted with 1, right? Because you're picking the 3 worst ones from among 4, as opposed to just 3 random ones. Obviously, you suffering it yourself is a way to depower the ability, because you're suffering something. But that's just something I don't think I'll change it because of that, but something to be aware of.
Wait, are you saying that it's weaker this way?
No, I'm saying it's more powerful this way. You made it stronger.
Yeah, it's more powerful this way. Yeah, I did. But I think it's more powerful in an interesting way.
Yeah.
That it still has randomness on its side.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it's also a thing that's exciting, right? It's your like you rolled a 20 moment, like, oh yeah, we got you. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like
and then I guess part of this to stopgaps I put in there is I made it you can only be inflicted upon a mortal. So if your GM has like a dragon in the campaign, well, it depends. In Avallen, I think of mortals as creatures that are born of this world, and dragons and things like that are born of the other world. So yeah. Anyway, that's a way for the GM to play around it as well, as make their villains not mortal, and then it won't work on those.
Sure. Yeah, you can inflict this on my lich. Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then Games Champion.
Yeah, this was the same as before. It makes it so that your form change that makes you more like the Fae either can be permanent or you become even more like the Fae. In which case, then in this case, you can fly.
Did we decide on you assume the small form?
Okay. Yeah, I changed it based on your suggestion. Yeah.
The question I put before when I first read this and I posted Darren was like, wait, Boobach's normally small. You just turn into a giant Boobach if you're like.
That would be so funny.
Because furries would love it.
Yeah, true. People are lacking context.
We should get that furry money.
Yeah, we should get the where is the Boobach?
Get the furry money. Oh man.
Wait, where's
all respect to the furry community. We love you.
So we run over time here by 30 minutes, but that's fine. This is stuff we were going to talk about anyway, right? So it's just work. Yeah, that's good. So next week is Christmas.
Oh yeah, we are taking a break, aren't we?
Yeah, we're taking a break next week. Next day will be Boxing Day. We will not be streaming then. And then the week after that will be New Year's, so we won't be streaming then either. So we're taking a 2-week break for the holidays.
Huzzah! Yeah. Can I ask you about Boxing Day real quick?
Boxing Day? Yeah, sure.
Is Boxing Day just like second Christmas? How does Boxing Day work?
It's
feel free to pipe in too.
It's a day where you lounge around and recover from Christmas.
Oh man.
You eat leftovers from Christmas Day, and you rest and watch movies and TV with family. Usually, that's.
Oh, because you get together on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Because like in my family, and I think Chrissy's too. She can attest to this. But we often partied hard on Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day was like our relaxed day, and then sometimes.
Yeah, Christmas Eve is a preparatory period, and Christmas Day is when everything happens.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. All right. Well, obviously, different families will be different, but that's just how we did it in mine.
And like what was it Jasmine's family? My wife, like, I got a huge culture shock going to America for the first time for Christmas because they did this midnight mass thing on Christmas Eve, and I was like, what the fuck? And then we went back to her house, and then we opened presents on Christmas Eve. Technically, it was Christmas Day because it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, but it felt really weird to me. But that's what my family does too. Dude, my family on Christmas Eve would party until like 3 or 4 a.m. Really? Wow, that's crazy. Yeah.
and a lot of my siblings and cousins are like around my age, and we all are into games. Yeah. So we'd be playing like board games until 3 or 4 a.m.
Man, like, just
Magic the Gathering or Munchkin or whatever, whatever game that.
Yeah. Yeah, so over here in our culture, it's like the complete opposite. You go to bed early on Christmas Eve because you're going to wake up early on Christmas Day because the kids are excited to open presents because Father Christmas has come during the nighttime, right? That's when he comes, at night. And then you...
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how that works.
Yeah, that's so British.
Well, yeah. It is. Christmas is very British.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds like fun. I think we're reaching the end of it. Actually, I can share one more anecdote before we leave because I want to have it for posterity. But I want to share the discovery over that I shared with you earlier this week. Basically, my dad's in the Philippines, and I'm really interested in Filipino mythology because working on the book, I'm more interested in irony mythology and all that stuff. And I asked my dad to do some research and see if he could find me anything about Filipino mythology and stories. And he came back to me earlier this week telling me that he remembered and discovered a reference to my grandfather, his father, in a work about giants, Filipino giants, or giants in Filipino mythology.
Well, that's really cool.
Which I had no idea about. I knew my grandfather was a writer, but I never met him. I had no relationship with him because he was in the Philippines while I was in America. He died when I was pretty young. And I knew he was a writer for like newspapers or whatever. But my dad told me, he just remembered that he was also really into mythology and trying to.
So just to recap, you, Kurt, Sam's son of Sam, asked your father, presumably named Sam, and asked him.
John. What's up, Oliver?
Asked him to research Filipino mythology, and in reading a book about a mythological Filipino creature of a giant nature, he found mention of your grandfather, his father.
Yeah.
And because your grandfather was also researching that thing, and so he was like cited or something? Or do you know how?
Okay, well, I'm trying to get that idea. That's what my dad said. My dad said he stumbled upon that, but it's Facebook and he's old, so I don't know if he. The way he worded it, it sounded like he was saying that he saw it in some mention in some article or whatever. And so it was mentioning some paper he wrote, and I asked him to. He has like 2 books in storage right now. He has his house being built, and he told me that when the house is built, he's gonna open up the boxes and break it out and show it to me or whatever, and I can read over it. But yeah, I guess my grandfather had some books or essays published about giant mythology, and he came across a reference to it when researching Filipino fantasy mythology for me. So yes. That is basically.
Well, that's awesome. It's so awesome, isn't it? Like.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think did you say to me it's genetic, like it's in your bloodline, like.
Yeah. Well, okay, hold on. He told me one more thing I want to share with you, which I didn't share with you, which I thought was kind of funny. He also mentioned that he also remembered. Oh, here. He said that this is a really. He recalls that he had a book published in the Philippines and he brought home lots of weird stuff, which became part of a museum in Mindanao. But alas, the exhibits were confiscated by the government, and he doesn't know where they were because apparently my grandfather was also a grave digger, and because he would try to like go to holy burial sites and find artifacts from the ground that he would take home and put into museums. So yes, my grandfather was a writer and a gravedigger.
Wait, did your grandfather have a doctorate?
Probably.
I've just found him by accident.
Well, oh wait, dude, put his name in the chat.
I mean, was his name Jose or no?
Yeah, I think so. Is it Jose Sampson?
Yeah, Jose Sampson. Yeah.
That probably.
I just searched the word Filipino giants to find out what the creature was called.
I literally have not looked it up.
And I found a random page called Filipino.net. I'll send you a link to it. And they say...
Yeah, we're talking about my grandfather right now. And Holipus, sorry, I'm talking about the chat. Holipus says, because if the gay boat begins to grow legs and travels through the world, it's probably a mimic. Good point. It might be alive by itself. Wait, Carrot Lake, where did you...
Yeah, I'll send it to you privately so you can check yourself. I'll send you in a second. It says, this given credence in September 1967, a team of student anthropologists from Davao University, Mindanao, led by Dr. Jose A. Sampson, embarked on an expedition to the rocky Punta Libod promontory jutting out into the sea. It was hardly explored by the people of Tagabo, blah, 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 basically looking into caves, and Dr. Sampson and his team found centuries-old coffins containing various artifacts and remains in various stages of preservation. And there's a photo of it. Okay, I'll send.
Yeah, I gotta see, dude. No, put it on the stream. Show it on the stream. I'm seeing this for the first time too. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm this out and show it.
I just wanted to make sure it was your granddad before putting on the stream.
No, show me the picture and I'll tell you it's my grandfather.
Well, here it is.
That is my grandfather. That's correct. That is my grandfather looks like Spanish Walt Disney.
Wow. They were hardly eroded bones of normal-sized Samoan natives who died over 120 years ago. Dr. Sampson summarized that the Samoans may have taken over these burial caves from before the race died up, blah, blah, blah. Cool.
Dude, this is wild. So yeah, and again, all I knew about my grandfather is that he was a writer, and I thought he wrote for newspapers, but I didn't know he was a big archaeology nerd discovering things in the Philippines, and I think that's fucking...
Yeah, related to mythology as well. That's so fucking cool. Oh shit.
No, thank you for finding that.
I was literally by accident. I just searched, the Google thing is here, I wrote Filipino giants, and then I saw Samoa giants, I was going to copy paste that, and then I just looked down another sentence and I saw Dr. Sampson. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
Bro, this is Destiny telling us we got to write this. The next Iron Age book is going to be this because it's in my blood. We got the bloodline going for this. Thank you, Zofia, for thinking my granddad is awesome. I mean, like I said, I never met him. I didn't know him. My only two memories of my grandfather are my dad talking about him, and one is when he talked about my grandfather because they weren't very wealthy. And he would buy a lottery ticket for my dad and say, when I win this lottery ticket, I'm going to buy you a bike, da-da-da, and this is what's going to happen. And it never happened because, who won the lottery? And the second one is my dad crying when he, remembers memories of his dad singing to him. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So it seems like what he was doing was investigating the myths of legends of giants in the Philippines, and maybe just realizing these might actually be really tall people, basically. They're the source of these myths, it seems like, compared to the Filipinos, which weren't quite as tall as we all know.
There's some theories that, I think in the Bible, there's a theory that there's a reference to a foreign city called Ophir, which is like a mystical or foreign land. During biblical times, and there's a theory that one of the possible locations is the Philippines, that Ophir, O-P-H-I-R, is an ancient name for the Philippines from biblical times. Yeah. Because the Philippines isn't, that's from King Philip, right? That's a recent, so if we ever do make our world that world, Ophir seems like the front runner for a possible world name that isn't being used. So,
yeah, actually, because we were talking about this, about doing pre-medieval mythology in the Philippines, because obviously Jasmine, my wife, is Filipino as well, so we're interested in it. And then while I was there, I was looking into old names of places, and the old names of the Philippines is a really interesting discussion. And one of the, before it was called confirmed to be the Philippines, I think they were also considering calling it Taiwan.
Oh, also.
And then Taiwan got there first and stole it from them. Yeah. Anyway,
Taiwan.
we should stop here. Although I am having fun, but I got work to do.
Yeah. All right, thanks guys for joining the stream. If you're not following us, please do follow us. We're going to be here in 2 weeks. We'll be back. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Stay safe, drink safe, but do drink. Huliepa said the Book of Enoch explains the giants. In the Bible, giants are called Nephilim. That's right, and they are the children of fallen angels and human women. And of course, the Philippines being a very religious country in a lot of ways, that's probably, I have to read into what my grandfather's research, apparently, which is cool, but that's probably what he's going off of, right?
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, thank you for finding that. I'm going to send it to my dad. It's that's pretty cool. And weird. It's just weird. I don't know. I just discovered this week, and I think that it's a cool thing. So
it's really cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for showing me too. Awesome.
All
right.
All right.
So actually, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be off for 2 weeks, then we'll be back again on, I guess, the 9th of January. But I don't know what time that will be. It'll probably be a more American-friendly time because I will be in America. I'll be East Coast then, so we'll have to figure it out, and we'll post on our Discord and Twitter and places. Yep. All right. Yep. Happy holidays. Happy New Year, everyone. Merry Christmas, etc.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
All right. Love you guys. Talk soon.
Take care. Bye.
We will see you next year. Sophia, appreciate you. Thanks for keeping me honest.